Most of us enjoy listening to the stories of others. Sometimes we have to tell our own stories to defend ourselves or just for the sake of being understood. There are even times when we entertain others by creating stories that stray far from the real. Then there are those of us who crave a good story in the form of a book or a movie. Whichever it is, narratives have proven to be one of the most entertaining forms of expression. Whether you knew it or not, those stories were exciting, terrifying, interesting, unmoving, because of how the source manipulated the parts or elements. It is these very elements that you will have to manipulate effectively in order to do well in your examination. At this level, your main challenge is to use a picture or a word prompt question to create an engaging short story which will be marked for its plot structure, characterization, organization, and effective use of language. In this lesson, we will review the general elements of an effective short story and break down how to begin a story. An effective short story manipulates the major elements. Plot, a series of events. Characters, the people or things that take part in the plot. And an effective short story suggests a theme or a generalization about life. The beginning. In about 1 or 2 paragraphs, create the story's exposition. This is where readers are introduced to the setting, main character, and conflict, in no particular order. Remember, short story writing is creative writing, and doing well is dependent on your ability to generate and express jaw-dropping ideas. The first few lines of your story are essential. They set the tone and hopefully make the reader want to continue reading. This is known as a hook. How do we make the reader want to continue reading? The first line or the first few lines should leave the reader asking a question. It is this unanswered question that will keep them wanting more. There are different ways of doing this. Here are a few of them. Open with the description of a character. For example, when I was 4 months old, my mother died suddenly, and my father was left to look after me all by himself. Describe setting. The hottest day of the summer so far was drawing to a close, and the drowsy silence lay over the large square houses of Privet Drive. Or describe setting and character. In a country east of the jungle and south of the mountains, there lived a firework maker called Lal Chand and his daughter, Lila. Or maybe open with dialogue. I'm going shopping in the village, George's mother said to George on Saturday morning. So be a good boy and don't get up to mischief. How about a question? Have you ever had the feeling your life's been flushed down the toilet? Or maybe a statement. It's a funny thing about mothers and fathers. Even when their own child is the most disgusting little blister you could ever imagine, they still think, that he or she is wonderful. After you would have hooked the reader with one of those strategies, continue by revealing the cause of the problem or conflict. At the same time, describe the time and place and set the mood. Write in such a way to have all these elements work together for the outcome you have in mind. So, every inclusion has to be deliberate or useful to the development of the story. Let us read the exposition of a story and try to identify evidence of the writer using a hook, establishing setting, introducing the main character, and the conflict. He sat a long time with his eyes fixed on changing upon the open gateway, where a little light seemed to fall from the stars or from the horizon. Who knows? He was sitting on a log in a dark corner with the gun across his knees. The pine tree snapped. Once a chicken fell off its perch in the barn with a loud crack and a crackle, and a commotion startled him. He stood up, watching with all his eyes, thinking it might be a rat. But he felt it was nothing, so he sat down again with the gun on his knees and his hands tucked in to keep them warm, and his eyes fixed on blinking on the pale reach of the open gateway. He felt he could smell the hot, sickly, rich smell of live chicken on the cool air. And then, a shadow, a sliding shadow in the gateway. He gathered all his vision into a concentrated spark and saw the shadow of a fox. The fox creeping on its belly through the gate. There he went on his belly like a snake. After this opening sentence, readers would certainly want to know, why is he so focused on the gateway? What is going to happen? These questions will keep readers hooked, looking for answers. Evidence of his position, looking at the gateway, sitting on a log in a dark corner and being startled as a result of a crackle, establishes setting through place, time, and mood. Through the character's actions, readers can tell a lot about him. We understand that he is anxious and determined to injure or maybe kill. So, this is characterization or character description. And the conflict was introduced. Up to this point, we can tell that the specific problem falls under man versus nature. He seems to want to injure or kill the fox. This exposition has done exactly as recommended. It has an exciting opening to capture readers' interest. The setting is revealed. The main character is introduced. And the conflict presented. Over to you.